What's up and welcome to My Point of View. I am your fat and opinionated host, and apparently Bryan Kohberger is now a man of God. In these times where he is behind bars for the unaliving of four beautiful, bright, young University of Idaho students, he has now chosen to turn to God. At least that is what is being said. That is what is being reported. That behind bars, he has suddenly become very religious. And you know, we don't talk about religion much on any of my channels. And I think this opens the door for us to have an interesting conversation. To let you know a little bit about myself, I was raised in the Christian church. I went to church quite a bit growing up, but I have not been to church in years. And I mean years. And I don't consider myself a really religious person, but I still have the core values that I was taught when I was growing up. And I wouldn't consider myself belonging to any religion per se, because I'm still I am personally on a journey of my own to figure out what I believe in this weird world, in this vast universe. I'm on a journey of my own. You understand what I'm saying here? But I definitely don't fault anyone for their beliefs or their religions. And I've always liked learning about other cultures, learning about other people's religions, people who are right here within my culture, people right down the street. You could walk down my street and you could probably find people from various different religions. And I've always been open, I haven't been open to practicing those religions, but I've always been open to learning about them. So one question I have here for you all today, because I think a lot of us, I think everyone, or I can't say everyone, but often people interpret the Bible in different ways. And I hope this isn't an uncomfortable conversation for anyone, because even if you don't believe in God or Jesus, if you're not Christian, if you're not Catholic, it doesn't matter what you are. This is simply a conversation about other people's beliefs. It doesn't reflect on your belief at all. And if you aren't comfortable having these conversations, then what's the point of even having a voice, period? I like to talk about these things. I like to learn about other people, and I hope other people have that same curiosity for life as well, because that curiosity for life is, at least that's what drives me. When I wake up in the morning, a lot of what drives me is the curiosity, the wanting of answers to certain questions I still have. That's much of what drives me in life. But anyway, my question to you all is, how do you feel about Bryan Kohberger suddenly becoming a man of God? You know, I understand that some people would say that the Bible says no sin is greater than the other. Basically, that God would view all sins on the same playing field. So many people would be forgiving of Bryan Kohberger. They would say that, hey, Bryan Kohberger can seek forgiveness. You understand what I'm saying? But for me, I'm like, you know, I don't know how to feel about that. I don't know how to feel about that. There's a saying that goes, God forgives and I don't. I can tell you right now, I am not a very forgiving person whatsoever. I'm more of, if you slight me once or twice, it's a wrap. I don't got time to be out here forgiving everybody who are, oh, you screwed me over, I forgive you. Oh, you did this wrong. I don't got time for that. I have gotten to the point in my life where I am so protective of my peace that if you show me a sign that you're flaky, you show me a sign that you're not solid, if you show me a sign that you're not keeping it 100 with me, and you show me a sign that you're distrustworthy, I'm cutting you all the way off. No forgiveness here. But I understand that when you look at this situation from a religious point of view, at least from a certain religious point of view, people would say that, yeah, Bryan Kohberger is also, if he did do this, he is also, worthy of forgiveness. But my problem is, in this modern day society, I often see it. It's like people do crazy things and then all of a sudden they want to be religious. You know what I mean? It's like, you've been out here doing the absolute most. Never think you were never religious before, but now you got caught doing some messed up stuff. Now you want to turn to God. You know what I mean? I feel like it's phony in many cases, if you will. But before I even go further in this conversation, I want you all to watch this clip because some of you all may be lost as to what's going on here. So watch this clip because it was recently revealed that behind bars, Bryan Kohberger has become this holy man. He's going and meeting with priests and all of that stuff. Let's just go ahead and watch this clip, then I'll be right back.
Talk to me about some of the reporting that we've been getting on Kohberger's life behind bars so far.
Well, it's interesting, Ashley. Our sources have confirmed, and you mentioned it, that Kohberger is going to Mass every Sunday inside the Latah County Jail. And you'll remember, this isn't a big jail at all. It's very, very small. It's in the basement of the courthouse building right below the courtrooms. But apparently he is given the opportunity to go to Mass on Sundays. I've not heard about him being especially religious in the past, but apparently he does have this Mass that he attends. He has conversations there with the priest. What he's talking about, we don't know, but we've confirmed that he is going to Mass. There are other reports that he's in the cell by himself. Anytime he leaves the cell, he has at least 2 guards with him. There are moments where he walks by other cells where they yell out at him, but we are told that he just remains totally stone cold, looking forward, no emotion when other inmates yell out at him, which really is no surprise based on what we already know about Kohberger, Ashley.
So what say you all? Do you believe this new shtick? Do you think this is just something that Bryan Kohberger is doing to make himself look better? Because make no mistake about it, another thing that was revealed is that Bryan Kohberger is following his case very closely from jail. So Bryan Kohberger knows that he's being talked about every day, day in and day out. Bryan Kohberger knows that his actions in jail will eventually make it into the news because he's a hot topic right now. You know what I mean? So is Bryan Kohberger all of a sudden, because as far as I've heard, and I don't know Bryan Kohberger personally, but I haven't heard anything about Bryan Kohberger being religious at all. So my question is this a stunt from Bryan Kohberger? A stunt to garnish some type of sympathy? Or does he really mean it? Is Bryan Kohberger really regretting what he possibly did, and now he's seeking forgiveness and he's trying to turn to God? And if that is the case, then how many of you all are accepting of that? Like, if you're a religious person, right? I want to hear from my religious peoples down in the comment section. Are you accepting of that? I'm not as accepting of that. And I guess that's why I'm not necessarily what someone would label as a good Christian, because I'm not that forgiving. At least at this point in my life, I haven't found it in me to be that forgiving yet. And I haven't found it in me to be that accepting. That, oh, you just killed 4 people a couple weeks ago, but now you're a man of God. I am not that accepting. That does not fly with me whatsoever. Because in my opinion, if Bryan Kohberger didn't get caught, he wasn't going to be out here talking to priests and going to mass or wherever the hell he's going. Would he be? I mean, Bryan Kohberger was out here for what? Weeks on end after the crime was committed. Did we ever hear anything about these FBI surveillance teams following him to church? No. Bryan Kohberger drove across the country. He's collecting trash. He's collecting his own trash in Ziploc baggies. All this weird nonsense. We haven't heard anything about him going to church. We know that his phone pinged outside of these young people's home multiple times, right? So we know he was stalking these individuals, watching them like prey, ready for his moment to pounce. Did his phone ever ping outside of a church? You know what I mean? So for me, I understand that religiously, technically, if you were to follow the Bible, it's like, hey, no sin's greater than the other. All sins are equal in God's eyes. So if you steal a candy bar or if you murder 4 people, it's the same. I don't necessarily believe that at all. Okay? I don't believe that at all. And I am not buying this whole new religious thing from Bryan Kohberger. Because like I said, a couple of weeks ago, Bryan Kohberger wasn't out here trying to find God. Bryan Kohberger was trying to find a way to get away with killing these 4 people, allegedly. And now all of a sudden, oh, now I want to turn to Christ. Now I want to turn to God. And things like that, I think often things like that drive people. Make no mistake about it. If you want to be fully honest, things like that often drive people away from religion. Or they drive people away from being as religious. You know what I mean? There were things that drove me away as well. And I'm struggling for the words to perfectly describe it. But at the end of the day, my main point is I'm not buying the nonsense. You know what I mean? And I think from the outside looking in, people viewing situations like this, it drives them further away because, I mean, what the heck? Bryan Kohberger could just kill 4 people and then ask for forgiveness and then just, oh, okay, he's a man of God now. It's Bryan Kohberger. He's a freaking saint, you know? He's a fucking monk. I try not to cuss in my videos, but damn, I just did. But yeah, so that aspect of things, I often struggle with that. And if you all have anything that you would like to say down in the comments below, feel free to say it. Feel free to explain things in your own way. But like I said, I'm not, at the very least, I'm not buying it. I'm sorry. I'm not buying it. And I'm not going to let him try to play into certain things to pull emotional cords, because I feel like this is what this is. I feel like it's manipulative. He's trying to tug on the cords of people who are super religious. Like, yeah, you know, I'm deserving of forgiveness as well. Poor me, Bryan Kohberger. Look at me. I'm going to church in jail. I'm talking to the priest in jail. And it's like, yeah, I don't care how many priests you talk to. I don't care how many sermons you go to. If you did this, you belong in heck. You know, you could go to heck in a handbasket. But anyways, this is not beer. This is actually water. So don't accuse me of drinking on the job. While you're here, let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Hit the thumbs up button, hit the subscribe button, ring the notification bell, all of that good stuff. And we have more interesting discussions that we have to have about Bryan Kohberger, because I just got some more details about his life in jail. and I am not happy about him. But like I said, leave all your thoughts down below, and as always, remain opinionated.